Good evening, children.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good
Good
evening.
evening. Good evening, children. That's all. Good evening, children. Are we all there?
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, children. Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. So we'll pick up from where we stopped. I think we finished example 2 yesterday. We'll have to continue with example 3, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. All right. So let's read the question. An observer 1.5 meters tall. Children, this is NCERT example 3. Now you don't do it by yourself opening the textbook. We'll all do it together. NCERT example 3. An observer 1.5 meters tall. So let's take the ground level. Let's take the ground level. This is the ground. This is the level ground. And we know the height of the observer. The observer is 1.5 meters tall. So let us represent the height of the observer with this line segment. All right. So this is the observer 1.5 meters tall. An observer 1.5 meters. See, this is the level ground. The observer is standing on the ground. I hope the observer is not on top of a building. Let me read fully. No. Okay. So on the level ground. So the observer is standing on the level ground. This is the level ground. This is the height. This line segment represents the observer who is 1.5 meters tall. An observer 1.5 meters tall is 28.5 meters away from a chimney. So there's a chimney. The chimney is also on the ground. Let us represent the chimney by this line segment. Now, look at now the question is the see chimney should be taller than the person, the observer. That's one thing. The chimney should be taller, but how do you make out that the chimney is really what? And the question tells you that the chimney is taller than the observer. See, as a matter of fact, we know that the chimney should be taller than the observer. But what actually in the question tells you that the chimney is taller than the observer? The angle of elevation of the top of the chimney from her eyes is 45 degrees. So that means the observer has to raise her head. She has to look up to look at the top of the chimney. That means the chimney is taller than the observer. The observer, see the angle of elevation. What is elevation? Elevation is measured when the object observed is at a higher level than the observer, than the eye of the observer. When the object observed or the point or the position observed is at a higher level when compared to the observer, then the angle measured is called the angle of elevation. Observer at a lower level, that object which is looked at is at a higher level. So when the angle of elevation is measured, when the observer has to raise her head and look up, she has to look up, raise her head, look up and look at that position or that point. So in this case, angle of elevation is measured. So since the observer is since the angle measured is angle of elevation, it is very clear that the top of the chimney is taller than the observer. I hope I convinced you. All of you convinced?
Yes, ma'am.
Elevation, the word elevation is used when the object or that position or point observed is at a higher level when compared to the the observer. The observer is at a lower level, the object is at a higher level. Only then, so when the observer has to raise her head to look at that something, the angle measured is the angle of elevation. When the observer looks down to look at something, the angle measured is the angle of depression. All right. So now we took up the level ground. We represented the level ground like this. And then this is the observer standing on the level ground who's 1.5 meters tall. And then we took up the chimney because there is a distance between the observer and the chimney. So we've taken up another line segment that represents the chimney, and the chimney is taller than the observer. So you can see the line segment is, longer than the line segment we have represented the observer by. Now, what is this 28.5? It is not the height of the chimney. It's the distance between the observer and the chimney. This distance is 28.5. This distance is 28.5. See here, an observer 1.5 meters tall is 28.5 meters away from a chimney. The distance between the observer and the chimney is 28.5 meters. Next, the angle of elevation of the top of the chimney from her eyes is 45 degrees. The angle of elevation of the top. So see, angle of elevation, we need two arms. One is the horizontal line. The horizontal line is drawn through the eye of the observer. See, so this is the head, or you have to take this as the eye of the observer, and the line through the eye of the observer is the horizontal line. This is the ground level. This is not the horizontal line. This is the ground level. This is the ground level. This is the foot of the observer. This is the foot of the observer. This is the eye of the observer. And this is the line, the horizontal line through the eye of the observer. So we've got one arm of the angle. Angle of elevation, we got one arm, the horizontal line. We got the horizontal line. Next is the line of sight. The line of sight. Next, we need to make out the line of sight. Connect the eye of the observer and the point observed, the top of the chimney. Connect that. Connect that. So this is the line of sight. The line of sight is the line connecting the eye of the observer and the top of the chimney. This is the line. From here, she's looking at this line of sight. From here, she's looking at this. Connect that. That's the line of sight. Now, this angle between the horizontal line and the line of sight, the angle between the horizontal line and the line of sight is the angle of elevation, which is given to be 45 degrees. Which is given to be 45 degrees. We need to find the height of the chimney. We need to find the height of the chimney. So a part of the chimney's height is known to us. This is 1.5. This we know. This is 1.5 because this is 1.5. The opposite sides are equal. So this portion is 1.5. We know that this is 1.5. And also because this is 20. Children, are we all listening? You're not working, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Please listen. Please listen. So this is 1.5. So this is also 1.5. This is 1.5. And this is 28.5. So the opposite side, this one is also 28.5. This is also 28.5. This one is also 28.5. Now, children, in a right triangle, if one angle is 45 degrees, this is 90. Okay, this is 90. One angle is 45. So the other angle is also 45, right? Yes or no? Yeah. So it's a right isosceles triangle.
Yes,
so these two sides are equal. It's a right isosceles triangle. So these two sides are equal. So if this is 28.5, if this one is 28.5, by the isosceles triangle property, this one is also 28.5. This one is also 28.5. You can use tan theta and do it. I'm just telling you, in a right isosceles triangle, 90 degrees, 45 degrees, 45 degrees. So these two sides will be equal. If this is 45, this is also 45. Okay, so this is 45. This is also 45. So these two sides are equal. This side is equal to this side. This side is equal to this side. So if this is 28.5, this is also 28.5. So 28.5 plus 1.5. 30 meters is the height of the chimney. The height of the chimney. This one is 28.5 and this one is 1.5. So 28.5 plus 1.5. The height of the chimney is from the ground. From the ground to the top of the chimney is the height of the chimney. So 28.5 plus 1.5. 30 meters is the height of the chimney. But we will not use the isosceles triangle property. We will be using the trigonometric ratio tan 45. But you can also do it like this. Please work, children. You don't have to draw the chimney as it is shown here. You don't have to draw this chimney. You can just use a line segment like this. Use a line segment like this. Yes, write. You may write the question or take the reference number. Or if you must draw it like this, you should name it like this. Start writing, children. First, read through the answer. Don't start writing. First, read through the answer. I'll give you time. Then you can just copy it down. First, read the answer completely. Understand the answer and then write down. Then you can just write it fast from the screen. Please use the diagram which I have annotated. it over, children?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Children, the procedure is not to blindly copy the answer. The procedure is, see, once I explain and show you the answer, you are supposed to read through the answer. You're supposed to read like, so let CD represent the observer 1.5 meters tall. Look at the figure. Look at the figure and understand. Okay, yeah, CD is the observer 1.5 meters tall. Let AB represent the chimney. So then look at the figure. AB represent the chimney. All right. So what is C, children? What is C? How do you describe the point C?
Foot of the observer.
Foot of the observer. Foot of the observer. And what about B?
Foot of the
Foot of the
chimney.
tower. Chimney.
Foot of the chimney. Foot of the chimney. Correct. So both of them are rooted to the ground, right? Both of them are on the ground. So this is the ground level. This is the ground level. This is the foot of the observer. This is the foot of the chimney. So the height of the chimney is from here. From here, this is the height of the chimney. This is the height of the chimney. AB is the height of the chimney. We are given the height of the observer, 1.5. So the opposite side, this portion alone will be 1.5. The distance between their foot, that is the foot of the observer and the foot of the chimney, is given 28.5. So this one is also 28.5. And what is this? What is DE? What is DE? What is DE?
Horizontal line.
Horizontal line.
It's a horizontal line drawn through the eye of the observer. It's a horizontal line drawn through the eye of the observer. So that's the horizontal line. And how do you describe DA? What is DA?
Line of sight.
Line of
of
Line
sight.
of sight, ma'am.
It's a line of sight. DA is the line of sight. Why A? Because the observer is looking at the top. This is the top of the tower, top of the chimney. That is the point observed. From the eye of the observer, don't join this, don't join this one. Don't join the foot of the observer in the top of the building. Don't join the foot, join the eye of the observer and the point observed. DA is the line of sight, not CA. Don't join the foot and the top of the tower. So DA, eye of the observer and the object or the point observed, line of sight. The angle between the horizontal line and the line of sight is the angle of elevation, 45 degrees. So we know that this one is 1.5. So we have to find this from the right triangle using T ratios. Yeah, and the height of the chimney is 30 meters. Is it simple, children?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. See, this description, you just have to explain how you have made the figure. There is no order that you should, it's whatever you have drawn, you just have to, explain what it is. That's all. Let it be vague. Don't make it a paragraph. Make it simple. Just break down that information into sentences like this. Use more of symbols like B is 28.5, D is 28.5. But you need to explain the figure. From a point P on the ground, from a point P on the ground, from a point P on the ground. From a point P on the ground, the angle of elevation, so from a point P on the ground, the angle of elevation, so the observer is looking up to see something. The angle of elevation, so the observer is looking up to see something. From a point P on the ground, the angle of elevation of the top of a 10-meter tall building is 30 degrees. So there's a 10-meter tall building. There's a 10-meter tall building. Let me just do it again. From a point P on the ground, 10-meter tall building, 10-meter tall building. The elevation, so the height of the observer is not known. The height of the observer, see tests are coming up. Once we finish from NCERT, then we have so many test papers to take up. There you can show your skill. Now listen to me. When you do your tests, I will be quiet. That is the time for you to show your skill, exhibit your skills. Your skill in understanding. Now let's do it together. I'm repeating it so many times. Angle of elevation, so the observer is looking up, raises his head to see something. The height of the observer is not known. The height is not known. So this is regarded as the eye of the observer. And he's looking at the top of the building, He's looking at this. And the elevation is 30 degrees. Horizontal, the ground level is the horizontal line. The ground level is the horizontal line. And this is the line of sight. The angle between the horizontal and the line of sight is the angle of elevation, 30 degrees. A flag is hoisted. So is this understood? 10-meter tall building, 10-meter tall building. This is the top of the building. This is the ground level. Also the horizontal line, because we do not know the height of the observer. So from here, from this point P, the person looks at the top of the building. So connect P and the top of the building. That's the line of sight. Line of sight, horizontal. Angle of elevation, 30 degrees. A flag is hoisted at the top of the building. Okay, so there's a flag. On top of this building, there's a flag. There's a flag. So this is the top of the flag. This is the bottom of the flag. This one is the flag. This one is the flag. This is the bottom or the foot of the flag. This is the top of the flag. A flag is hoisted at the top of the building, and the angle of elevation of the top of the flagstaff from P, from the same point P, now first the observer looked at the top of the building. Now the observer is looking at the top of the flagstaff. Connect the eye and the object observed, or the position or the point observed. Connect the eye of the observer and the point observed to get the line of sight. The horizontal line is the same, because the observer is looking at the top of the flagstaff from the same point. There is no change in the position of the observer. So the same as the horizontal line. The horizontal line is the same. The line of sight, you have a new line of sight now. From the eye of the observer to the top of the flagstaff, the elevation is 45 degrees. So from the line of sight to the horizontal. See, you might think if this is 45, this is not 45, because this is a line of sight. This is a line of sight. This is a different line of sight. This one is not 45 degrees. Remember that angle of elevation and angle of depression are marked between a line of sight and horizontal. Not between some two lines like that. This one is 45, horizontal to line of sight. From here to here is 45 degrees. This one is 45 degrees. This is 45 degrees. It's 45 degrees. All right. Find the length of the flagstaff. So find this length of the flagstaff, this one. Find the length of the flagstaff and the distance of the building from P. So that means you should find this. This is the foot of the building. So you should find this distance. The distance of the point P from the building. So this distance, foot of the building, you need to find this distance. And also the length of the flagstaff, this one, the length of the flagstaff. Please go through the answer. I'll explain. Please draw the figure which I have annotated. If I keep talking, children, it will become boring. That's why I'm allowing you to understand the answer yourself, and then let's discuss together. Finish writing, children?
Yes, ma'am. Completed, ma'am.
Okay, so we have to do two things. So we have two right triangles basically here. We have two right triangles. Let me show them separately for you. So first we have taken up the right triangle APB. Okay, APB. But remember one thing, children. In a right triangle, when you know one angle and one side, then It's like you know everything about the triangle. One angle, one side. And see, it's a right triangle. So already one angle is 90 degrees. And on top of that, you will know another angle. Right triangle, you know one angle. So the third angle is easy to find because you know it's a right triangle and you know one angle in it. So the third angle is easy to find. So leave that. But when you know one side in a triangle, you cannot find the other two sides. When you know only one side in a triangle, you cannot find the other two sides. But you're able to find the other two sides using T ratios. So register this clearly. In a right triangle, when you know one acute angle and one side, you can find the remaining two sides using T ratios. So now when you take up the right triangle APB, see you've understood the answer, but just listen to me. In APB triangle, in APB, this is the triangle APB. I'm showing only the right triangle APB. This is a right triangle APB, okay? In right triangle APB. We know that AB is the building which is 10, so this is 10. You can draw this triangle separately beside this working also for clarity. Okay, so AB is 10. And then this angle here is 30 degrees. Be careful, this is 30. So in this right triangle, you know one angle 30 degrees and one side AB. So you want to find AP, right? You want to find AP. You want to find the distance between the building and the observer. You can easily find using this right triangle. You can easily find using this right triangle. In right triangle APB, tan 30 degrees is equal to opposite by adjacent. That's it. So you can find AP, which is the distance of the building from P. Isn't this easy? Yes or no, children?
Yes, ma'am. I have a doubt.
Can I just finish this, please? Don't forget your doubt.
Yes,
Don't forget your doubt. Have it. I'll just finish the second one. Now the other is the triangle APD. APD. So APD is a bigger triangle. APD is a bigger triangle. This is D, children. This is D. Children, this is D. This is A and this is P. What's the angle, children? What's the angle here?
45 degree, ma'am.
Please note that it's 45 degrees. It's 45 degrees. So that means this is also 45. But I think I have not worked it like that yet. So I've always used T ratio. So let me just. Yeah. So in triangle APD, this is 45 degrees, children. And you have found this one. AP we have found. AP we have already found. We know this AP. Okay, how much is this? 10 root 3. This is 10 root 3. We know this. 10 root 3. We know AP is 10 root 3. And then here we have a point. What is this? This is B. This one is 10. This one is 10. See, now you will ask me, why should you call it X? I'm taking it as BD itself. Okay, you take it as BD. Nothing. We normally use when a line segment is, you know, the length of the line segment is not known, we'll just call it by some letter. Hey, you don't want to use it, you don't use it. So there is no rule that you should call BD as X. There's no rule that you should call BD as X. If you want to call it as X, or you can take it as BD itself. Okay, so mostly mostly when we don't know the length of some line segment, we call it ABC, XYZ. So I've called it as X. Now in this right triangle, see, I've just taken up the other right triangle APD, and I've just filled in all the information I know. 45 degrees I know, 10 root 3 I just found from the earlier triangle, and then 10 and X here. See, and also one more thing is you start working with the right triangle where you know one angle on one side. You start with the right, that will make your work easier. So now when you have to decide between, should I work with this 45 degrees triangle first or 30 degree triangle first? Work with the 30 degree triangle first, because there you know one angle on one side completely. So you can find the other side AP, and that information can be used in this triangle, the second triangle which has 45 degrees. So when there are two triangles, When there's one triangle, you have to start with that. When there are two triangles, you should decide which triangle to start first. Sometimes you can start with any of the two triangles because both of them will have kind of equal information. You cannot find anything from any one triangle. You have to work both simultaneously. But in cases where you working one triangle first will be beneficial, do that. So in this situation, working with 30 degrees triangle is useful because you can find AP. Because you know one angle, one side fully AB. You can find AP. And that information we're using in the second triangle. 10 root 3 here. AP is 10 root 3. This is 10 and this is the X, 45 degrees. Now tan 45. See here. See it in right triangle PAD. Tan 45 is equal to AD by AP. AD by AP. So then tan 45 is 1. Tan 45 is 1. AD is 10 plus X. So in right triangle PAD, tan 45 is equal to opposite AD by adjacent AP. Your eyes must be looking at everything. Don't have a blank mind. Now tan 45 is 1. AD, what is AD? You can write AD as 10 plus BD. You can write AD as 10 plus BD. 10 plus BD or 10 plus X. So that's your choice. 10 plus BD is also fine by AP, which is 10 root 3. We found earlier. We found here AP is 10 root 3. That was not given to us, but we found AP is 10 root 3. Now when you work with this, when you work with this, this is how you solve it. X is equal to 10 root 3 minus 10. You should take out 10 common. Take out 10 common, root 3 minus 1. The value of root 3 is 1.732. 1.732 minus 1 is 0.732 into 10 is 7.32. So the length of the flagstaff, because X is what? X is only the flagstaff length. So the length of the flagstaff is 7.32 meters. Yes, Shakti?
Here they are telling the distance of the building from the top or from the.
No. Distance of the, where is that sentence? Oh, no, yeah, what is your doubt?
Here they are meaning from the top of the building or from the bottom of the building.
The bottom of the building. The distance between, find the length of the flagstaff and the distance of the building from the point P is from the foot of the building and foot of the, if it is the top, it will be mentioned.
Okay.
Now, anyways, that's actually a good question. So if it is the distance, from the top of the flagstaff to the observer, that will be mentioned clearly, very clearly. So nothing is mentioned here. So it is the foot of the building to the observer. Distance of the building is the distance of the foot of the building. The distance on the ground distance. Distance on the ground between the point P and the building.
Ma'am, I have a doubt.
Yes.
Ma'am, instead of taking dA as 10 plus X, can we just keep it as dA and find the answer?
Yeah, you can find dA and then to find the, you can, yeah, let's work it like that. This is Nishita, is it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's work it like that. So what is tan 45? Tan 45 is equal to Nishita. Tan 45 is equal to opposite AD. Opposite AD by, yes, Nishita, AD by
AD by AP adjacent side.
AP. So tan 45 is 1. So you'll get AD, AP is equal to AD, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so you'll get AD is equal to AP. AD is equal to AP. And what is AP? AP is 10 root 3. AP is 10 root 3. 1 is equal to AD by AP. So on cross multiplying, we get AD is equal to AP. AP is 10 root 3. So AD is also 10 root 3. But AD is the height of the building and the height of the flag post. We have to find only the height of the flag post. So it is 10 root 3. The total height 10 root 3 minus 10. We need to find the height of the flagstaff. The flagstaff is only this one. Only this portion is the flagstaff. What is AD? AD is the height of the building and the flagstaff. AD is the height of the building and the flagstaff. So from that you should subtract the height of the building minus 10 to get the height of the flagstaff. So 10 root 3 minus 10. 10 root 3 minus 10 will be the height of the flagstaff.
Yes, ma'am, I get it now.
All right. You take it as AD, children, you will get AD is 10 root 3, but AD is the height of the building and the height of the flagstaff. So from 10 root 3, if you take away 10, the height of the building, you will get the height of the flagstaff. Children, is it clear? Thank you, Shakti and Nishita, for your questions. Anything else, children?
Clear, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
See, one thing about me is if you ask me an elementary doubt, when we are at the end of the chapter, it's very difficult to answer. Very difficult to answer because I'll not know from where to explain. So now we are getting the basics of the chapter. Now it's time to get anything in your mind, whatever comes to your mind, any question in your mind, just ask me. Don't think if you should ask. Before you think, ask the question. When we are in the middle of the chapter and you ask a basic question, really it's difficult for me to answer. Finish writing?
Yes, ma'am.
Alongside,
Yes,
you can just take up these small triangles also, just for clarity. Beside this working, you can draw this small triangle APB, and beside this working, you can draw this triangle. Work neatly. Yeah. Example 5. The shadow of a tower standing on a the shadow of a tower standing on a level ground. So there's a tower on a level ground. Level ground. There's a tower. There's a tower standing on a level ground. The shadow of a tower standing on a level ground is found to be 40 meters longer. The tower is at the same place. But you know that the length of the shadow at different times of the day is different. Shadow is the shortest at noon. Now, the length of the shadow will be different at different times of the day. The shadow of a tower standing on a level ground is found to be 40 meters longer. The tower doesn't grow taller or shorter. The tower is the same. The length of the shadow varies at different times during the day. So it's found to be 40 meters longer when the sun's altitude. What is the sun's altitude? The sun's altitude is the angle between the sun's rays and the earth. The angle. The sun's rays. So like the sun's altitude, you can just make a note in your book, sun's altitude It's the angle between the sun's rays. The rays of the sun reach the earth at some inclination. That angle between the rays of the sun and the earth is the sun's altitude. Write down sun's altitude hyphen. The angle between the sun's rays and the earth and the surface of the earth. The sun's rays and the surface of the earth is called the sun's altitude.
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt. Can you repeat it once again?
Yeah, sure. Sun's altitude is the angle made. Okay, see, when I repeat it will just change, but it's the same. The sun's altitude is the angle made by the sun's rays, the rays of the sun and the ground and the surface of the earth. I think I'll write it. The sun's altitude will be different at different times during the day. So the length of the shadow also will be different. All right. So we took the ground level. This is the ground, the tower. The sun is fixed. The sun does not move. Okay, so the rays of the sun, the inclination will be different at different times during the day. So there's a difference in the length of the shadows. Now let's read the question again. The shadow of a tower standing on a level ground is found to be 40 meters longer. When is it 40 meters longer? When the sun's altitude is 30 degrees than when it is 60 degrees. When is it longer? When it is 30 degrees.
Yes.
When it is 60 degrees. When you compare the length of the shadows, when the sun's altitude is 30 degrees and 60 degrees, when it is 30 degrees, it is longer. That is, it is shorter when it is 60 degrees. The shadow of the tower is shorter when it is 60 degrees. It's longer when it is 30 degrees. Okay, so the tower, this is the head of the tower. So the rays will hit the head of the tower and they'll fall on the ground like this. The rays of the sun hits the head of the tower and it will fall on the ground like this. And at a different time during the day, the rays of the sun, it hits the top of the tower and it falls down like this. Obviously, okay, this is the foot of the tower. This is the foot of the tower. This is the foot of the tower. This is one shadow. Listen to this carefully. How will you measure the shadow? From the foot. The shadow is measured from the foot. So this is the length of one shadow and this is the length of the other shadow. This is the length of the other shadow. From the foot to this point is the length of one shadow. From the foot to this other point is the length of the other shadow. Which shadow is longer? This shadow is longer. This shadow is longer. This is longer. So that means this angle is 30 degrees. This is 30 degrees and this is 60 degrees. And this is 60 degrees. Always remember, in a situation like this, smaller the sun's altitude, longer the shadow. Smaller the sun's altitude, you can make a note. In a situation like this, smaller the sun's altitude, longer the shadow. Smaller the sun's altitude, longer the shadow. Let's see it again. Let's see the figure again. Level ground, tower, rays of the sun. At a particular time during the day, it hits the head of the tower, the rays of the sun, it hits the head of the tower and they come down. They reach the surface of the earth like this. At a different time, it hits the head of the tower, the sun's rays, and they fall on the earth like this. So sun's rays, surface of the earth, sun's altitude. Rays of the sun, the surface of the earth, sun's altitude. It's the angle between the ground and the rays of the sun. This is 30 degrees. Okay, now how the question is, how do we know this is 30? So this is the foot of the tower. This is the foot of the tower. This is the foot of the tower. So from the foot of the tower to this point is one shadow, the length of one shadow. From the foot of the tower to the other point is the length of the other shadow. Is the length of the other shadow. See, this is not in from here to here is not the length of the shadow. From here to here. Now this is longer. You can see that this is longer. This one is longer. So the angle here is 30 degrees. How do you know it's 30 degrees? It's given here. 40 meters longer when the sun's altitude is 30 degrees. So 30 degrees longer shadow. 60 degrees shorter shadow. And how many meters longer? It's this one is 40 meters. This one is 40 meters. By how much is it longer? By 40 meters. See, it is longer by 40 meters. It is shorter by 40 meters. It's longer by 40 meters. It's shorter also by 40 meters. When you take two friends A and B, supposing A is 12 years old, B is 15 years old. The number is 3. When you say, you say that B is 3 years elder to A or A is 3 years younger to B. The number 3 is the same. The words, it depends like with respect to which person you are talking. So with respect to B, you will say elder. B is elder to A by 3 years. A is younger to B by 3 years. The number 3 is the same. So whether shorter or longer, that length is 40. This portion from here to here is 40 meters. Because this is that extra length. This is that extra shadow. This is that extra. From here to here is a shorter shadow. It's longer by 40 meters. So that extra piece is 40. Find the height of the tower. We need to find the height of the tower. This is what we have to find, the height of the tower. Is the figure understood, children?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Please work, read the answer. Take 5 minutes, go through everything and then start writing.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Finished?
Excuse me, ma'am, I am having a doubt now.
Yeah, just 1 second, Shakti, just a minute. Yes, Shakti. Working, I'll tell you alternate ways of working. I will tell you if you are talking about an alternate way of working, I'll be discussing that. Is it about that?
No, ma'am. For root 3, we want to always take as a 1.732 or 1.7.
If nothing is mentioned, we have to take 1.732.
Okay.
Yeah. So this working children, you can do it in 2-3 ways. I'll tell you. Okay. So here, if you see, no triangle has complete information. Complete information meaning we are looking for a triangle with one angle and one side. But no, we don't have. So you can start with any triangle first. Start with any triangle. There are two right triangles. There are two right triangles. Okay, so whichever triangle you take does not have one side completely. One angle, it has one angle. Both the triangles have an angle, but not any side completely. So you can work with anything first. So I've taken triangle in triangle ABC. Please listen, in triangle ABC. Tan 60 is equal to, we are connecting AB and BC. See, we have nothing to do with the hypotenuse. So we are not using sine, cos, cosecant, secant. We will be using, if the hypotenuse, if they want us to find something about the hypotenuse, we will use sine and cos. But it's mostly tan and cot here because we'll have nothing to do with the hypotenuse. So it's always about the opposite and adjacent sides. So tan or cot. Tan 60 is equal to opposite by adjacent. So tan 60 is root 3 is equal to h by x. Now I don't, you cannot find anything. In this step, h by x, root 3 is equal to h by x. What can you find? You cannot find h, you cannot find x. So it's like, I have worked it like as if, as a learner, you don't know what to do. So I've just left it there. Once you know, you will be doing it in different ways. But I've just worked it like a beginner. Now I don't know what to do. I don't know. Root 3 is equal to h by x. I'm not going to get h. I'm not going to get x. So I just left it there. I'm just calling that one. I'm just leaving there. Now I take up the other triangle, hoping that I'll find something from that. So tan 30. See, the other triangle is ABD. You should not work with ADC. ADC is not a right triangle. T ratios can be used only in a right triangle. That's what we have learned so far. In 11th and 12th, you'll see a larger dimension of trigonometry. So now what we know is we can apply T ratios only in a right triangle. That's what we know now. So we cannot take up the right triangle ACD. We cannot take up the triangle ACD because it's not a right triangle. It's not a right triangle. So in triangle ABD, tan 30 is equal to opposite AB by adjacent BD. Tan 30 is 1 by root 3. AB is h. BD is x plus 40. You can see that BD is x plus 40. Now again, here also I have h and x. Here also I have h. I know because I know one thing. In one equation, when you have two unknowns, you cannot find anybody. That we know. So we stop there. We are like, oh, what is this? One equation, we have h, we have x. What to do? So we stop there. We go back to the first one. What we do is we are using the substitution method. We are using the substitution method. We take one equation from equation 1, we have got h in terms of x. H is equal to x root 3. And that we substitute in the second equation. So we go to the first equation. We just cross multiply and we write h is equal to root 3x. Or x root 3. We go to the first equation from 1. When you cross multiply, you get h is equal to x root 3. What we do is we put this one in the second equation. The second equation, in place of h, in place of this h, we use x root 3. See this 1 by root 3 is equal to, instead of h, we say x root 3 by x plus 40. So why should we do this? Yeah, the second equation had two unknowns, h and x. Now what we did? We took away x, h, and we've replaced with x. So now the second equation has only one unknown, x. So you know that you can solve this and find the value of x. And then if you want, you can find h. So we have used the substitution method here. I'll tell you one other method also. Now this is substitution method. Now you will ask me, why should you write h only as x root 3? Why can't you write x as h by root 3? You can do that also. Anything. Writing one variable in terms of the other, that's all. And substituting that in the other equation. See, you're getting from the first equation, you're getting h is equal to x root 3. What will you do with this? This one you will use in the second equation. In the second equation where you have h, you will write x root 3. So that means the second equation has only x now. So you can solve and find the value of x. And we found x is 20. Now is that what we have to find? No, we have to find AB. We have to find AB. Who's AB? AB is h. Oh, we need to find h. And h we know is x root 3. See here we know h is x root 3. So h is equal to x root 3. That is 20 root 3. X root 3. See here we have it. H is equal to x root 3. X root 3. X root. So that is 20 root 3 or 20 into 1.732, which is 34.64. So the height of the tower is 34.64 meters. Now all of you can make a note of the alternate method. The alternate method is writing. Now you know that both the equations have, after getting 1 and 2, this is the substitution method. What we have done is a substitution method. What you can also do is you can write both 1 and 2 in terms of the same variable. For example, what is h from this? What is h from the first one? From 1 we have h is equal to, or you can write for x also. Yeah, okay, root 3x. What is h from the second one? From the second,
x plus 40 by h by root 3.
what is h?
X plus
H is
40 by root 3.
So what you can plan to do is from both the equation, see from equation 1, from this equation 1, I've got h is equal to root 3x. I'll find h only from the second one also. I'll find h only. I found h from the first one. I'll find h from the second one. H from the second one is, as somebody said, Arnav, is it x plus 40 by root 3?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now h is root 3x. H is also x plus 40 by root 3. So we can equate these two, right? From 1 and 2, what do you get? From 1 and 2 you get, because both are the expressions for h. Root 3x, what do you get from 1 and 2? Root 3x.
Root 3x is equal to x plus 40 by root 3.
This is another method. Using the first and the second equation. See now here using the first and second equation, what we did is we wrote both for x. Sorry, we wrote both for h. We've written both for h. H is equal to root 3x from the first one. H is equal to x plus 40 by root 3 for the second one, from the second one. Now equate. Both are expressions for h. So root 3x is equal to x plus 40 by root 3. Work this and you'll get the same answer. Working is the same. You'll get the same thing. X is equal to 20 on working this. On solving this, you'll get x and then you find h. The other method, make a note of this, children. Using 1, using 2, and then equating 1 and 2. You can solve and complete this one. So you'll get 3x on cross multiplying. 3x is equal to x plus 40. Two x is equal to 40, x is 20. Then you find h. Write down fast. Alternate method. Alternate method. This will not come. For the alternate method, this one will not come. Using 1, we get this. Using 2, we get this. And then this one, this. After finding x, you will get the same answer. No, you will get the step. X is 20, you will get. Then you should work h is equal to 20 root 3. Finish writing, children?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So now tell me the other method. Right for? We wrote h is equal to, no, now we write x is equal to. X is equal to what from the first one?
H by root 3.
H.
What is from the second one? What is x? On cross multiplying, you'll get x plus 40
is equal to root 3h, ma'am.
is equal
So
to
x
root
is
3h.
equal to root 3h minus 40.
So you'll get x is equal to
Root 3h
write down
minus
along
40.
with me. Yeah, write down this one. Alternate method, another method. Using one, you don't have to work this one. Using this one, you will get x is equal to h by root 3. And using 2, you will get x is equal to root 3h minus 40. Now we equating 1 and 2. X is h by root 3. X is also so we have two expressions for x. X is h by root 3. X is also root 3h minus 40. So equate both. H by root 3 is equal to root 3h minus 40. Equate this. You will get the value of h straight away. You will get the value of h. That is 20 root 3 you will get straight away. You will not get 20. You will get 20 root 3. Cross multiply. H is equal to 3h minus 40 root 3. So you will get 2h is equal to 40 root 3. 2h is equal to 40 root 3. H is equal to 40 root 3 by 2, 20 root 3. Directly you will get the height of the tumble. Completed, children?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, others?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Class, use the emoji, raise your
Completed, ma'am.
hand. All right. 19 of you have raised. Srinivasan, Parkavi, Anish. Anish, you did not submit yesterday's classwork. Please submit yesterday's and today's today. Anish is requested to submit the classwork yesterday and today's classwork by today.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Shivani, Sudarshan. Sudarshan, you had some issue in joining the class on time yesterday, right?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened? You're not new
No,
in the
ma'am. I
class.
stuck in another meeting which contains 10 members and you, ma'am. But no one spoke, ma'am. For a hour, I waited in the meeting itself, ma'am.
Oh, I'm so sorry, but from where
Yes,
did
ma'am.
you get that? But from where did you get that link?
Ma'am, from the WhatsApp, I clicked that link only, ma'am. But it's in my laptop, it bugged and said that another draft meeting, ma'am. So that only I didn't come
Who
early.
didn't attend in that meeting? I can't believe.
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am. It was that meeting was bugged, ma'am. No one was speaking. Your name and 10 members was there, ma'am. But I don't know, and I left the meeting and relog in, ma'am, and I entered this meeting, ma'am. So only I didn't write the half
so
of the note.
normally, if I don't start the meeting on time, I'll send a message to you on WhatsApp. So if you're waiting in the meeting for more than 10 minutes, I think you can text me and check. Than staying the meeting.
Okay, ma'am.
For such a long time, yeah. Because normally, see, when I have some network issue or for some reason I've gone out, I've not made it home on time, or for some other reason I'm not able to start the meeting on time, I'm sure I would have sent you a message on WhatsApp. If I had a severe network issue, then maybe my WhatsApp message also will not reach you. I don't know. I hope that does not happen. But yeah, so you will be prompted with a message on WhatsApp. So I'm so sorry that you had to stay in some some fake meeting for so long. Okay.
Next
You
time I'll
completed
come
the
early.
notes, Srinivasan, using the recording?
Yes, ma'am. I saw the recording, ma'am.
No, but you have not completed the notes, I said.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, please do that. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Sabari Grish, Arnab, Shakti, Priya, Lakshita, Shriya. Rakshan, Nivedita, I'm just recalling if you all submitted your work. Priya, Lakshita, Shriya, Rakshan, Nivedita, Ravya, Muttuvel, Subiksha, Hariharan. I did not receive your classwork.
Yes, ma'am. I will submit it today, ma'am.
But what happened yesterday? Okay.
I'm
Manasa,
gone out.
after 9, Hariharan? Okay. Hariharan, Manasa, Tirunesh, Nishita, Priyadarshini, Shruti, Balaharish, I did not receive your classwork. Lazy, huh? So we have to take photos one by one and send it to you. Boring, no? Are you there, Balaharish? Okay. Please send yesterday's and today's classwork. Yeah. Nafi and Akshay Ram. Okay, Nafi, you okay? I can't hear you, but your microphone is unmuted. I can't hear you. Please send your classwork. Akshay Ram, please send your classwork. So these are the different ways. I'll tell you X and H. Using X, H, all this will really help. Please get used to that. Don't have AB as AB. Don't have BC as BC. If in a triangle, some line, see, like now you will ask me now which one to call H and X. Leave the hypotenuse because mostly we are not working with the ratios involving the hypotenuse. Leave the hypotenuse, okay? Leave these two. Now you don't know this piece, no? So I'll call it X. And this is like the height of something, so I'll call this H. That's all. If your question is, how do I know I have to call somebody as X and somebody as H? When you realize that you're not going to use, meaning you don't have to find the hypotenuse, leave the hypotenuse. So now these two, we are not going to mark anything. Then we left, this one is 40. So why will you call this as X? That is 40. Then we don't know this line segment, the length of this line segment. So X or Y or any letter. And this one we don't know. So we'll just call it H because of the height of the tower, right? So we'll call it H. You can call it Y also. So this is how you decide whom to label. This is how you decide whom to label, which line segments to label. So labeling is actually more convenient. To work with. So what you can, so now we have got the methods. So what you can do is whenever you have two, when you have two unknowns in one equation, you can write this one as H is equal to something or X is equal to something. Now we have understood that. Now this one also has H and X. So what you should do, if you've written here has H is equal to, here also you must write H is equal to. Or here if you have written X is equal to, here also you must write X is equal to and equate both. Equate both and find some value and then find the other value. Is it understood, children? When you have one equation, two unknowns, this is how you handle it. All right, the next question. The angles of depression. The angles of depression of the top and the bottom of an 8-meter tall building from the top of a multi-storied building are 30 and 45 degrees respectively. Find the height of the multi-storied building and the distance between the two buildings. So here in this question, we have two tall structures. We have two structures. We have one multi-storied building and the other is the building, simply the building. There is one tall building and one multi-storied building. There is one tall building and there is one multi-storied building. The angles, I'm reading again, the angles of depression. So from somewhere, we are looking down. The angles of depression. So you're looking depression of two things again. The angles, okay? The angle, it's not angle, it's angles. The angles of depression. So we are looking at two things. Both of them are below us. That means we are standing at a higher level. And what we are looking at is at a lower level. Please imagine that. Visualize that. The angles of depression. We have two angles, both depression. That means you are at a higher level. or the observer is at a higher level. He's looking at two different things. No, both are below him. Both are at a lower level. So that means you're standing on the taller structure. The angles of depression is measured when the object is at a lower level. The observer is at a higher level. The angles of depression of the top and bottom of an 8-meter tall building. So what is observed? The top of the building, the top of the 8-meter building, the bottom of the 8-meter building. From the top of a multi-storied building. So the multi-storied building is taller than the 8-meter tall building. Now don't say you took so much of energy, but the word multi-storied itself means taller. Don't assume all that. The tall building can also be taller than the multi-storied building. Don't go by with all that. So it's like this. So we have two structures. We have one multi-storied building. We have one tall building, 8-meter tall building. 8-meter tall building. These are their foots. Foot of the 8-meter tall building and the foot of the multi-storied building. So we have to just connect this like this. Okay, so you are standing here. This is the multi-storied building. Multi-storied building. This is just the building, tall building. 8 meters tall. Okay, so the angles of depression. So this will be the horizontal line. This will be the horizontal line. The angles of depression. From here, I'm looking down. I'm looking down. So the angles of depression of the top and the bottom. So this is the line of sight. I'm looking at the top. I'm looking at the bottom. I'll do it again. I'll just do it again, just for you. See here. I'm trying to say that the multi-storied, you are standing on the multi-storied building. What are we looking at? We are looking at the top of the tall building, the bottom of the tall building. From some point, we are looking at the top of the 8-meter building and the bottom of the 8-meter building. Okay, from where? From the top of a multi-storied building. Now, which is taller is the question. The multi-storied building is taller because you are looking, your angles are measured with angles of depression. So you're looking down. So the 8-meter tall building is shorter, is at a lower level than your position. So this is the multi-storied building. This is the multi-storied building. Ground level, 8-meter tall building. 8-meter tall building. This is the top of the 8-meter tall building. This is the foot of the 8-meter tall building. If you feel, why should I join this? Don't join now. Let's not join now. Now I'm here. You're standing here. From the top of the multi-storied building, you're looking at the top of the 8-meter tall building. So that's a line of sight from your eye to the top of the 8-meter tall building. You're looking at this point, line of sight. And from the same point, you're looking down. You're looking down at the foot of the 8-meter tall building. Line of sight, two different lines of sight. From the same point, because the observer is here. Eye of the observer is here. Eye of the observer to the top of the building. One line of sight. From the eye of the observer to the bottom of the building is the other line of sight. Is the other line of, see, not double lines, children. I'm not able to go over the same line. It's not a double line. Don't mistake this. Now, the angle of depression of the top is 35 degrees and bottom is 45 degrees. You can see it here. The angle of depression of the top and bottom. So 30 is for the top, 45 is for the bottom. Which is now which is the horizontal? The line through the eye of the observer. This is the horizontal. This is the horizontal. This is the horizontal. Line of sight, we have two lines of sight. Which is the line of sight for the top? This is the line of sight for the top. This is the line of sight for the top. Top line of sight. This is the line of sight for the top. So this is the angle of elevation for the top. Sorry, angle of depression for the top. This is the horizontal line. This is the horizontal. This is the line of sight. This is the angle of depression for the top, 30 degrees. This is the line of sight for the bottom. This is the line of sight for the bottom. So from here, the line of sight for the bottom to the horizontal line. This is the line of sight for the bottom of the tall building. This is the line of sight till the horizontal line. Till the horizontal line is the angle of depression for the bottom of the building. This is one line of sight. This is one line of sight for the top. This is the line of sight for the top, and this is the horizontal. So between that is the angle of depression. Whether elevation or depression, it is between the horizontal and line of sight. Again, the same as the horizontal. Line of sight is different. This is the line of sight. So between the horizontal and the bottom line of sight is the angle of depression of the bottom, 45 degrees. Now we are going to convert these to angle of elevation. So we are going to join this line. We are going to join this like this. We get a rectangle. So we can use the properties like opposite sides are equal and all that. So we join this, we get a rectangle. Now see here, now this horizontal and this one will be parallel to each other. I don't have to say why. Obviously, very clear that they are parallel to each other. So now parallel line, transversal, parallel line. Alternate angles are equal. Alternate angles are equal. So see here, parallel line, transversal, parallel line. Alternate angles are equal. So this one is 30 degrees. Again, parallel line, transversal, parallel line. Alternate angles are equal. So this one is 45 degrees. Find the height of the multi-storied building. Find the height of the multi-storied building. This is the height of the multi-storied building. And the distance between the two buildings. This is the distance between the two buildings. Not the distance between their tops or something. The distance between the two buildings. So between their feet. This one below. This one. Is the figure understood, children? Where to mark the angles of depression?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, please draw the figure, go through the working. So this one is too big, so I think you'll spend a long time to go through. You can start writing slowly and look at the figure to understand.
I'm having a doubt, ma'am.
Yeah, 1 second. Let me just move this. Just 1 second. Yeah, please draw this figure, children. If you say that I already drew the figure which you showed earlier, no, let that be for practice. This is the figure which you have to draw. Yes, Shakti.
Here for the height, they have given us 18.928. Can we round up to 19, ma'am?
Oh, you're asking about the answer. Yeah, where, ma? 18 point?
928.
Content you should not round, but we normally don't do it. We leave it as a decimal.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand your question because practically, if the distance between the building is 18.928, you are not going to say 18.928. You will say it's 19 meters approximately. Your question is sensible, but we normally don't round it off. We leave it as a decimal like that.
Okay.
So I've used that equating method here. I told you write both. We have h and x. So write both as x is equal to some expression and equate. Yes, children, any questions anywhere? Here is the explanation to the figure and the meanings of h and x we have given here. Then we take up one right triangle. We take up the other right triangle. We take up the two right triangles. And it's your choice. You can write h is equal to or x is equal to. That's your choice. So I thought I'll write x is equal to something. So I've written x is equal to h root 3. Here I've written x is equal to h plus 8. Then I equate x is equal to h root 3, x is equal to h plus 8. So h root 3 is equal to h plus 8 from 1 and 2. So when you solve this, you must know how to solve. There are two terms that have h in them. So group them, gather them on one side. There are two terms which h. There are two terms with h. So have them on the same side. Take out h common. Root 3 minus 1 we get on taking h common. Then rationalize the denominator. Conjugate root 3 plus 1. Then 2 ones are 2 fours are. 4 into root 3 is 1.732 plus 1 is 2.732. Root 3 is 1.732 plus 1, 2.732 into 4. So the height of the, so we get the value of h, and h plus 8 is the height of the multi-storied building, 18.928. But we know that h plus 8 and x are the same. X is equal to h plus 8. Whatever is h plus 8 was only x also. X is equal to h plus 8. So h plus 8 is 18.928. So x also will be the same thing because x is equal to h plus 8.
Ma'am?
Yeah.
Ma'am, I didn't get it. Like, how are they parallel? How is QP parallel to BD?
The angle of when you measure, that is from one point. From a point on the ground, you look at something and you switch the places. From that point, you look down at the, that is, you switch the place of observation. Now, for example, from the ground, from here, you're looking at the top of some, you're looking at an object placed above you. You measure the angle of elevation. Now you switch places. You take the place where the object is and you look down at the place where you were standing. The two angles will be the same. That is, the angle of elevation will be equal to the angle of depression. So it's like this. From B, when you look at P, the elevation is 30 degrees. From P, when you look down at B, the depression will be 30 degrees. Okay, it's actually the angle of elevation is equal to the angle of depression. The angle of elevation will be equal to the angle of depression. Let me clear the slide and tell you again. Now the two positions will take P and A, P and B. From B, you look at P. From P, you look down at B. The angles measured will be the same. It's just that we'll say angle of depression or elevation depending on which is higher. Now, supposing from B you look at P. The elevation will be 30 degrees. So then this will be your horizontal. This will be your horizontal. This will be your horizontal. From B, you're looking at P. From B, you're looking at P. So through B will be the horizontal, which is parallel to the ground. And the elevation
Okay,
is,
ma'am.
so this will be the line of sight. This will be the line of sight. And this angle is 30 degrees. Now, when you switch places from P, if you look down at B, from P, if you look down at B, the angle of depression will be 30 degrees. So this will be the horizontal. Listen, I'm finished. This is the horizontal. This is the line of sight. The line of sight will be the same. The line of sight will be the same. The line of sight, the horizontal will be different. This is the horizontal in one case. This is the horizontal in the other case. Now from P, when you look down at B, this is the angle of depression between the horizontal and the line of sight. So now you see that the angle of depression is equal to the angle will be the same. The angle of depression is equal to the angle of elevation. When you switch places, when you switch object, observer, object and observer. Object is here, observer, sorry, observer down, object up. Observer up, object down. When you measure the angle of elevation and depression, you will see that they are the same. So these two lines will be parallel because the angle of elevation is equal to the angle of depression. These two lines will be parallel to each other. The horizontal lines will be parallel.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, children. Any other question on this? See, I worked it in path. I also told you this one. That this one is the explanation. Till here is nothing about the working. This is just the explanation to the figure. We have taken one triangle, one right triangle, other right triangle, and equated. This equation we get, we solve and get H, and we answer the two questions. That's all. Yeah, I want you to finish this by yourself. Write down the answer, children. Maybe we have to discuss this in the next class. Please complete this. Please complete this. We'll discuss this in the next class, children. I don't think we have sufficient time, but you can just write down the contents in your book. Figure, you draw like this. Figures given in the question. You cannot draw that, so you draw this figure. Yeah. The dotted line through P is the horizontal line. And that will be parallel to the ground level.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, are we supposed to send our classwork by today's, today also?
Yeah, every day, regularly. Yes.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Ravya, is it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Ravya. Yes. Regularly.
Completed, ma'am.
All right. Okay, children, since it's time, maybe you can take a screenshot of the answer and complete it later. But make sure that you send your pictures by 10 or 10:15 today. Finish your dinner and take the pictures and send it to me. Take a screenshot, children. All right, children. So that's it for today's session. Thank you so much. If you have any doubts, you can stay back and ask me. Else you may leave the call. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Good
you.
night, children. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, children.